back to Buzzworthy. Today in the studio, we have Jordan Russell from Price Driven. And Jordan's experience is quite interesting. He describes himself as someone who loves to conduct tiny little experiments with lots of generosity. And that really, breaks down what Price Driven's actually about. But as we know, with this podcast, we really dive into two things. How do you build a business and how do you build yourself as an individual all at the same time? Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Oh, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's such a pleasure. I'm so glad you reached out to me because, I was just putting it out there for anyone within the space of entrepreneurship, building something that doesn't exist at all, can reach out and be part of our show from our local region. So it was such a pleasure to have you sort of reach out and have us learn a little bit about Price Driven, which we'll talk about here. But before the days of Price Driven even came to be, what do you think set you, Jordan, up to be an entrepreneur?
Thank you for the beautiful intro about me and the company. And entrepreneurial, I want to say is like very generic. Like it's always been in my blood. I always wanted to do it. But I realized that when I was around 10 or 11, when my parents, this is like the age when your parents are trying to convert you from being taken care of as a kid all the way into like you're now going to adulthood. And there was a moment I really wanted something. I think it was like a video game or maybe the newest shoes. And my parents like, we're not going to buy that for you. You have to earn it. You have to make your own living. And I'm like, I'm 11. I'm just a little kid. And they're like, well, you can figure it out. We believe in you. So this is before Facebook, Kijiji, marketplaces. I took my belongings and I said, which one would kids want? And I looked at it and I picked hats. I had a large hat collection and I brought it to school, put it in my locker. And I'm like, okay, friends and family, friends, I opened the locker. Which ones do you guys want to get for $20, $30? And they were selling. And then I had a little bit of revenue. I'm like, oh, wow, I never knew I could sell products. But then when that was dried up and I wanted to get the next thing, I was like, okay, what am I going to do? So then I went to my friends and family and I said, hey, I can't buy your hat because I already spent all my revenue. It's already gone, it's spent. But what we could do, and I didn't know what it was called at the time, a consignment. I'm like, I will give you 75% of the profits. And they're like, amazing. So I took about dozen hats or so, put in my locker and did the same thing. Told my friends at school, hey, which one do you want? And I sold a few and then I give the people back their 75% and I kept the 25% just for the services. And I'm like, oh, this is great. I think this is kind of fun. I want to see if I can grow this. And of course, that came to an end after like 10, 20 hats, but that was the first step of entrepreneurship for me.
Yeah. And you told me this story already.
Yeah, we went over it.
But what was it that brought that little entrepreneurial journey to an end? Tell us about that.
What brought it to like today?
No. What brought like your hat business being sold in your lockers to an end?
Oh, it was funny. It was my first unhappy customer. It was like a friend of a friend. I bought a hat and then he had buyer's remorse. And he's like, hey, can I get a refund? I'm like, no, I'm so sorry. The money's already spent. It's gone. It's already paid off. I don't have it. And he told the teacher and he's like, Jordan took my money. And I'm like, okay. So then I got home sent with a letter from the principal saying Jordan cannot sell merchandise, hats, or anything on school property. So the principal shut that down. But my parents are pretty surprised and happy to read that letter that they said, hey, go make money. And I did. And it just wasn't on the school's terms, unfortunately. But yeah, it was, that's how I got stopped. The school just wasn't having it no more.
I love that. I think you completing that story instead of just being like, it was over at that point. I think that is the real crux of a lot of the story. Yes, it's you taking the initiative, that your parents are just like, I'm not buying you whatever you want anymore. Mm-hmm. You are 11, you've garnered skills by this age, you're smart enough, all of these things. And you said, well, I have a problem now I have to figure out because I want this one thing. My parents aren't going to buy it for me. Mm-hmm. I have to buy it for myself. And that, I think, is a lot of what like kids today need. A little bit more of that because now they walk around with like these $1,000 iPhones in their hands that they never had to work a day in their lives for. So then how do you value that? So I think that's the very first thing you probably learned in that experience is, how do you create value? How do you transfer value? How do you make value for everybody around you? And that's an incredible lesson to learn at the age of 15. But then it also taught you that, hey, there are rules and regulations that you have to follow. And um, it's great that, your parents took it so well. Why do you think they took it so well?
Well, it's because my dad, he was at around like the 80s. He started his own business, and he always said that if the internet was around, he would have the resources to really take it off. He did like a cleaning business, and now he does legal for a living for himself. And he was saying that school doesn't really create entrepreneurs. It's a system where the bell rings, just like in a factory. You go here, the bell rings, you go here, you follow the ABC steps and don't think outside the box. But he's like, you really thought outside the box this time. That's good. that was a great opportunity. Good job. So he was pretty proud, and I think that when your kids do something creative like that, you can't even be upset. You're like, wow, you're more impressed. So yeah, it was just he said he would have done the same thing, and when you can see a little bit of yourself in your child or vice versa, you can only just feel happy. So it was great that he felt like his influences, his upbringing, went into me, right? So it was just a good first step into entrepreneurship for sure.
That's quite amazing, and I'm glad they didn't shut you down and say, "Well, this was such a bad thing that you did." They didn't really label it. They really looked at the good characteristics that came out of it and gave you a real good confidence boost. Because I think that's where confidence comes from for a lot of people. And I know for me, particularly, is having a sense of accomplishment, having a sense of creating something from such a young age and then having that reinforced by people around you and people you admire as well too. And that confidence really creates this foundation for you to eventually come and take bigger risk as an entrepreneur, as an adult.
Yeah, that it reminds me of one of my favorite quotes from Kobe Bryant, which is a personal hero of myself because he is the little tangent, but he is the definition of hard work. That hard work beats talent every time. And he said around the same age, around like 11, 12, 13, as you're going into adulthood, his Kobe Bryant had a basketball game and he scored 0 points. Like he was awful. He was missing every shot, and he came back, of course, discouraged, and he went to his dad. He's like, I can't believe how bad I played. And then his father said, it doesn't matter how hard you fail, I'll always love you. And I'm like, I almost, it felt reassuring to hear something like that because that gives you the confidence to fail. And you're gonna fail so many times. Entrepreneurs, we all know it. We're gonna fail. We're gonna try 100 businesses. I think I'm on business number 3 or 4, and you're still failing. You're still trying new tiny experiments, and then they don't work. And my father, even though he didn't say those exact words, he gave me the confidence to try something, fail, try, and then you only need one big hit before you're pretty much where you need to be or where you want to be. So it was, yeah, I'm so glad my parents had that instilling. They really drove that home for me.
It's true. I think that's exactly what they did. And I've actually never heard that story about Kobe Bryant before. So that's a phenomenal story, in terms of having not scored anything to becoming such a legend at this point in time where, people forget that origin story of his. But I bet he never forgot that a single day that he was on the court, right? And it's moments like that you and other entrepreneurs, even myself, have, that when we get into hard times within entrepreneurship, when we are failing at something or when something feels so incredibly difficult for us to do, we lean on the things that we thought we would fail on that happened earlier and we overcame them. And that's how you build the confidence on the audacity to just do what needs to be done.
Yeah, that and I think people really look at their failures and they really hold on to it tightly. So I kind of see it like a library. Like, let's say your whole life is a library of books and events and memories. That the time you failed can be a really thick, like dictionary book, and it takes up a lot of space. But then we do something amazing. It's like a little tiny magazine. And you need a lot of those little tiny magazines to equal the same amount of impact and remembering on the bookshelf of like your memories. So I try my best to, this is personally, but I encourage other people to do it too. Take some time, journal out your day, write the wins of the day. And then when you go back into your library, you don't have to rely on your memory. People are going to remember the things, the negative things. But if you write down all the positive ones and you look back on it and you're like, oh my gosh, I did X, Y, and Z throughout all of last month. And then it just makes that big dictionary of like that wrong thing you did, the wrong thing you said into kind of smaller because now you remember the good things that happen. Yeah. So, yeah.
Even with that, I mean, we learn so much more from the failures than we ever do a really great win.
Oof, yeah.
Because a great win often has, yes, a lot of skill. It has a lot of tenacity behind it, but it also has a lot of failure behind it. And that's what I think people often fail to see is all the failures that eventually lead up to the one big win that we're all chasing to some degree at the end of the day. So with all of this, you've had a really great foundation of, kind of those inner core qualities that would say Jordan can be an entrepreneur one day. But what was the problem that you actually came across that eventually created Price Driven?
Yeah. There was it's funny because I feel like as entrepreneurs we have so many opportunities and problems that we see. And with Price Driven, it was I was really young. I was just finished university, and I got an opportunity to work at a car dealership. And at first I didn't want to. I'm like, I don't think I want to. But my friend convinced me. He was like, oh, give it a try. It's actually a lot of fun. And I went and I joined. And, over the years and months and so forth, I would have friends come up to me. He's like, hey, how do you buy a car? How do you buy a car? And I'm like, oh, it's really simple. You just do X, Y, and Z, which I'm sure we'll get into. But and I realized that a lot of people are stressed out about it. They're like, I'm not sure if the pricing is ethical. I don't know how much discount I can get. I don't know if I can negotiate. And I realized that even when I left the industry, people are still asking me. So I'm like, oh, when someone's asking you for a lot of favors when they come to you, I'm sure a lot of your friends come to you as like for advice on making a podcast or how to start a business. And you're like, I wonder if this can be a business when people ask you for stuff. So after about a dozen times of people asking me, I said, I think I should make a service for this. I think I should make a service to show people how to negotiate, how to buy a car. But then I realized people really want a service where it's done for you. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just pivot. That was the beginning of Price Driven, but now it's a done for you service for negotiating, show how much discount there's a car, and you just walk in and buy the car and you don't have to worry about time commitment or unethical salespeople. It just simplifies the process.
Wow. So take us back to the very first version of it, which you kind of just glossed over. You're just like, yeah, I thought I would help people and teach them the strategies to buy in a car, but they didn't want to do it. So eventually I had to do it myself. What was it that how were you actually trying to teach people to better negotiate, look for deals, understand the nuances of buying a vehicle?
Yeah. So the first few people were friends and family, and they would say, how do you buy a car? And then I would tell them. I would make a document. I'm like, this is your car. This is how much estimated discount there is. This is what to say. If you're not getting a good deal, walk out, which is by far the best negotiating lever you have, is to walk out. If you don't feel comfortable, please don't buy from that person. Don't buy from that person if you don't like them. You shouldn't reward salespeople that don't make you feel comfortable. But yeah, so I made the document, and then people were still nervous and hesitant on how to actually implement it. So after about the fourth or fifth sale of trying to teach people the nuances in the industry, I figured I will just use my industry expertise and just do it for them. And that just turned into, instead of me telling you, hey, walk into the dealership, say X, I would just call the dealership and say X, and then send you over to sign papers. So it was a good little change. It was teaching people they didn't want to pay for learning to implement. They just wanted the results.
Yeah. Were people just scared that they didn't know if this was going to work or not? Or what do you think it was in that initial design that made you say, you know what, there's such a huge barrier here. I have the knowledge, I have the expertise. How can I scale this better?
Ooh, I so like that point of moment when I realized that people didn't want to pay for information, they want to pay for results. Yeah, it happened with a family friend. I feel with friends and family, the more understanding if something goes a little left. But the more removed you are from someone, the more of a stranger they are, the more less leeway and patience they may have. So this was a friend of a friend of a friend, and they weren't happy with the deal they got. They were buying I can say the car, a Toyota Highlander. There's $3,000 of discount on that trim, and when they got the car and they only got 1,000 off, they were pretty upset, and I couldn't understand why. And they told me that, well, we spent 3-4 hours going over what to say, and I only saved $1,000, and I feel like I could have got a better deal. And then of course I had to educate the customer and tell them exactly why that happened. And I said for the next customer, I'm like, if I did that, if I just got your $1,000 off, would it have helped? He's like, yeah, that would have made my life a lot easier. I wouldn't have to learn all this. So yeah, just customer feedback told me that I don't think people want to be taught. They just want the results, which is fair, right? I when like for personal training, for example, or like weight loss, I rather pay to get a result than maybe go on a run. Like if someone told me, oh, walk for a few minutes a day would give you just as much, it's kind of an interesting example, but I think people would want to just pay for results.
Yeah.
They
I
don't.
mean, simply put, people
Yeah.
want to pay for results.
They just want to pay for results.
Ozempic over the gym, over
Exactly.
the gym, right?
I wasn't sure if I should mention Ozempic.
Super easy.
Yeah.
But I love the phrase that you said, which is people don't want to pay to learn, they want to pay for results.
Yeah.
And that's what you ended up building with Price Driven, because you're like, I have the expertise. These people have their lives to run. Buying a car is already stressing them out. They don't want to have to go to car university and learn how to get the best deal ever. So I'm just going to do it because I actually understand the nuance. This is like a very unique skill of yours and interest. And it's all of these things colliding to create Price Driven at the end of the day. So I really love that. I think that's a really great insight to say, well, people don't want to learn. They want
results.
They want results. And that's what Price Driven is creating, is results.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of barriers and terms and the university of school to just buy a car. And I'm like, that sounds very stressful. So it's almost like if you had to buy a house by yourself and you didn't have a realtor, it's kind of like that with a car if there was no realtor. And they trust the realtor to ask them questions like, oh, what do we do for a home inspection? What happens in this? And what do I say to the lawyers? The realtor walks you through that. In the car industry, there's no one to do that. So for a lot of the people I work with, there's really two customers. The first profile is someone that says, I just want to save as much money as possible. We're going to work on this together. I'm like, great, let's go. The second customer is often women, immigrants, anyone that's unsure about car buying, and they're like, I have no idea what to do, and I just don't want to be, I don't want the wool pulled over my eyes. Yeah. I just want to get a car. I want to make it simple, and I enjoy working with both people, of course, but I love helping out people that just say, this is so easy. Thank you. And it's so good to give back to community and help people that don't know something. So giving those people results, it just really makes me smile.
I mean, I've bought a few cars so far, and the car buying process is very stressful.
Well,
Very, very stressful. I mean, here's the
I
thing.
say that like I don't know, but
Yeah, you used to sell cars. You should know this, okay?
yeah.
But I think what it really comes down to is having this thing that's such high value. And like you said, nobody to mediate for you and putting a lot of trust into people that have pretty bad reputations. Like a car salesman is like the scum of the earth. That's what, we have. This is
It
what,
is.
I'm sure I've used that term before about some car salesman at some point in time because it's a high stakes sales environment for them. And because a lot of them are commission only. And it's hard to make a living when you're just gonna not put people in a position of pressure because you're thinking about your own life at the same time. So it's slightly, I understand their point of view, but it does create this environment for bad behavior and bad ethics and for people to be taken advantage of. So I think a service like yours, like you said, really does cut through a lot of the fear to say, here's somebody we can trust that's been in the industry, that knows the ins and outs. And I don't have to be under pressure to say yes to buying a car from you because you're the intermediary to the person that's providing all the pressure. Right? And that pressure doesn't phase you
No, it's
because
another day.
you have been that person.
I've been that person, and it was not fun trying to convince people I'm not that person.
Yeah.
There was I can't remember what the survey is, but there was a survey of untrusted occupations. First is hilarious is politicians, and then car salesmen.
Yeah.
Like
No, for
we're
real.
right there. And when I would sell people cars and I would go to the manufacturer's website, I'd flip my screen and I'd put all the numbers in front of them, they would still not believe me. And they'd be like, I don't trust you. And I'm like, this is all public information. Like, I'm trying my best. And I think after going through that for maybe like the 50th to 100th time, I'm like, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. And I don't know if the industry is going to change. So I'm like, I will then try to insert myself to be the middle between the change if the industry itself can't change.
I mean, that is the industry changing, right?
In a way, yes.
You are part of the industry. So if you create something, if you create that wedge and it's like creating a wedge in a tree and then you keep hammering at it, eventually it changes the position of the tree, right? I know that's a weird example.
No, I like that.
But,
Yeah. It kind of
but
becomes part of the tree.
Yeah, it does change the environment. It changes the landscape. So you are changing the industry. And I think you should stand on that a little bit taller because it's an industry I think that's ripe for change. There are companies like Clutch, right, that exist that, in essence is trying to do exactly that, is to cut the pressure of the other person. But I think what you're doing is you're really leaning into the human side of things where you're just like, hey, I'm going to hold your hand through this process so you win at the end of it and you get the results you're looking for.
Yeah. I'd probably say that the model that Clutch is doing, I like you mentioned them because they're a big player in Canada and I think they're amazing. And they're amazing because they're changing how you buy a used car. They have the same ideology as me as in the Costco method is our marketing is going to be giving such a great experience. You're going to come back. Marketing, like Costco, for example, they don't spend $1 million on a Super Bowl ad. They put that money into the refunds. So then when you refund something after like 5 years and you're like, wow, this is a great experience, and you're not going to leave Costco.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe I'm just biased, but
No, I think
I'm like, maybe I just love Costco.
businesses like
I love that
Costco,
idea.
yeah, they know their value, right? They know their value. And when your value is so strong to your customer, you don't need a Super Bowl ad to convince people that
No,
they need to use it.
just good people. You put the person first. So this is jumping a little ahead, but the way I really want the company to go and scale and build is very similar to what Jeff Bezos and Amazon does. That when they have a boardroom meeting, they always leave an empty chair. They leave the empty chair and they say that's the customer. When we make decisions, we have to think the customer is also a part of the decision. We have to put the customers first. So I'm like, I love that. And I think that if the customer was in a boardroom meeting and I had a chance to change something, I'm like, what would the customer say? They would probably say the same things over again. I want transparency. I want trust. I just want this to be easy. And that's the whole ethos of the company is the industry doesn't give them that. And if we do, that's what's going to make us different.
Absolutely.
Right? So I always try to make sure that the car buyer is the people that they're the lifeblood of the company, right? We provide a service and we want to make sure that they get the best service.
Yeah, but you're also working with the dealerships themselves too, right? What's the value you're providing to these dealerships?
Ooh, that is good. And I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of the time when I talk to people, I always have to explain the consumer side of things. For dealerships, there's a lot of benefits we provide for them. The main one is now that the industry has changed, we know during COVID how hard it was to buy cars. I'm not sure if you bought a car during COVID.
No, thank goodness.
Thank
no.
God.
Yeah.
Of course, the supply chain issues and the chip shortages drove new cars to be pretty much non-existent. They were just gone, meaning that used cars were now having higher demand, prices increased, and now they're making money hand over fist.
Yeah. Actually, here's a quick story about this whole COVID
There,
thing.
go for it.
So my car is a 2013 and COVID happened in 2020, which made my car 13 years old at that point in time.
Yeah.
Right? And this is where I think this really exemplifies what happened to the car industry during COVID. Is the exact same price I paid for my car in 2013 was the exact same price I could have sold my car for in
Insane.
2020.
It's insane.
Which I was like,
With more kilometers too.
oh my goodness, my car had like 250,000 kilometers on it
Yeah.
at that point in time. Actually, probably not that much, but
Well,
probably
yeah,
closer
yeah.
to
It was up
200,000.
there.
It was
up
cool.
there.
Yeah, it's quite up there.
Yeah.
But to be able to sell it for the exact same price, I was like, ooh,
That's kind of tempting.
that's a really tempting deal. But I'm smarter than that, obviously.
Yeah.
Because if you sell the car for this high price, I still need a car to go places.
Yep.
So why would I go and buy another car that's probably just as old as my car for more than what my car
Yep.
was that I sold it for?
Yep.
So yeah, okay, keep going. I just thought that example like really demonstrated like the madness that happened.
And funny enough, one of my friends had the exact same thought as you. They had a car, they drove for 5 years, and then after 5 years, putting like 100K on it, it was worth the same amount he paid for. So then he sold it, and then he moved to Toronto, and he's like, I don't need a car no more.
Okay, that's fair. That's a good
That's
deal.
that's the only way I could think out of it on top. If you
Yeah.
went and bought another car, then congratulations. The extra 5,000 you made will
You
just go into,
lost.
you just put it to the other car. Like
Yeah.
you're like, congrats. You just went from you just basically just shifted cars, and the value on the bill of sales is higher.
Yeah.
Like it just kept moving. So with COVID happening, with the demand and supply changing so much, that dealerships, the value changed for dealerships because they're in a point of time during COVID where they're making so much money because now they have so many people coming for one car. Before it used to be one car, one seller, or one buyer. One car, one buyer, one seller. It was even, 1-to-1. COVID made it 2 buyers, 3 buyers per car. And now they're like, we can have a bidding war. And it was amazing for them. They made so much money. But now, after COVID, Now they're back to reality. Now it's one buyer and one seller, and they're still expecting the same money from before. So when I go to dealerships and I say the value, sometimes the adaptation or the idea of trying to get back to reality of how it was before COVID still doesn't resonate with them. But the value, the long way of saying it, the value we provide for dealerships is now that they have more inventory and they're back to reality, we help them move inventory. Because a little bit of industry knowledge, but the 99% of dealerships, when they buy their car, they buy on a loan. Meaning that when longer it sits there, the more interest they pay on the car. They do not want that.
And the less discount they can offer a customer because they're not going to take a loss, right?
No, they do take losses.
I mean, but they don't want to take a loss.
No. I've sold cars that had 2-year birthdays sitting at dealerships, and they're like, please just move it. We don't care how much it goes for, just move it. But the main purpose is not only just moving inventory, which then saves them money on interest, it's providing pretty much a customer willing to pay the average of a car in Canada, $45,000. And we say, which is, I know, in the past, since COVID to 2026, I think it was an increase of 40%. So absurd, but COVID, inflation. But at $45,000, the average car in Canada, and I say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Dealership, I have a customer that wants to buy your car, and they already agreed on pricing. How does that sound? They're like, that's amazing. Because now they don't have to spend the resources to get the customer through marketing, bring them in, negotiate. That's a process. I speed up the process. I make it as easy as possible. I say, yeah, they're just going to walk in, sign papers, and they'll be out your hair within 10 minutes. Instead of the standard process of 3 hours doing negotiations and test drives, and then they walk out and you have to call them in. That's a lot of resources. So we are pretty much not only the middleman for consumers, but for dealerships to make their life as easy as possible to sell a car.
Yeah, you're the top of their funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you accelerate their funnel.
Exactly.
There you go.
I just make their life so much easier. And every business owner can relate to this. If I give you 100 leads and you have to call every single one just to find one buyer, you'd probably be like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. But if I said, here's one buyer that wants to buy, you'd be like, wow, you call them, they buy, they give you a credit card. That is amazing. And that's the service I provide for dealerships. I remove the fluff or the tire kickers, and I only send over the buyers. And we're the only platform to only send buyers. No shade to anyone else, but the other platforms, they just say, here's 1 million people that clicked your ad, have fun. We say, okay, we went through everyone. Here's the best people that want to buy at your price.
What you're doing is really taking advantage of this car bubble that grew, right? Similar to the housing bubble that grew. And then it popped. And now you're just like, you guys need help. Yeah. There's still people wanting to buy. So let me get you together. And that's where, opportunity meets, problem solving meets business meets innovation is when everybody's got a problem. You always need somebody to fix it, and that's the challenge you're taking on.
Yeah, the innovation in adapting to like how people buy today is well, actually, I'll tell you through what I've seen and what people have told me. And I advise everyone, when you ask someone that has a Tesla, why do you buy a Tesla? Top two things is, hey, I'm trying to save the environment. The second one is ease of buying. You just buy through the website and you pick up at the dealership. It's now a delivery center. So I truly believe in the next 10 to 20 years that consumers are going to be buying cars online, at least new ones, because
that's what Clutch was pushing, right?
Right, yeah. And they buy cars online. Now, unfortunately for Clutch, it's a used car, so used cars have more problems.
It's a different, it's a different market. It's a little different. But same experience.
But now Amazon is now thinking about selling cars. Tesla, Rivian, some electric players that got into the market without having a dealership network, they sell direct to consumer because consumers just be like, I want to buy this and I want an easy experience. I don't want to talk to salesperson for 2 hours to push this car in my driveway. They just want something simple. So having that innovation of trying to bring that to the masses without starting a whole new car brand to do that is the ease of use and innovation that I'm really striving for. So and Clutch is doing a great job. Tesla's doing a great job. But when the other brands aren't because they're not really incentivized to,
The market's huge. So take your slice of the pie.
right? There's abundance for everyone, right? And anyone else is doing something similar. My brother's in the South, in America or Canada, or I've even seen in Europe. I advise them. I really hope this model takes off where people can just have a good buying experience. If I don't want to buy a car through a dealership, just let me buy it online or have someone else buy it for me, and then I just take delivery. That sounds fun. That sounds something that most people want to eventually get to.
Yeah, love it, love it. Through your experience in building this current business right now,
It is hard. It is hard.
okay, we know it's hard, but what's the best thing you've experienced so far?
Outside of the feedback of talking to customers after they get delivery, I'd probably say the best thing about it is the idea that the community I'm building, I really want to have a great company with a great workplace culture. So I want like 4 days a week. I want great pay. I want great vacation time. Basically, everything that would make an employee extremely happy. That's what I'm really looking forward to, and that's the best part that I know that's gonna get there one day. And then people are just like, oh, this is such a good company. They have such a good mission and they have such great X, Y, and Z. Oh, I can't wait for that because I want to be, it's almost what my dad says, like, I want to be the father I wish I had, and I want to be the employer I wish I had. So I really want to build something big just to give someone peace of mind when they're on Friday and they have a great pay. They're like, I like this place. I like this Jordan guy. I like this price-driven company. They're great people. I really want that for the people that work with us.
That's amazing. And I think it's really great because the thing you just said just now was you want to create an environment for your employees that you didn't necessarily have. And I think that's huge. And especially I think right now, work environments might be even facing a little bit more toxicity because everyone's on edge because there's so many layoffs happening and everybody just feel uncomfortable and they don't know if they're next. So, and I mean, that's part of that's a part of being in any company. That's always a risk, and people say entrepreneurship is a risk, but it's actually just as risky to say, I'm going to hang my hat and being an employee somewhere. It's just a different kind of risk. So yeah, I definitely hope for sure you're able to build a company like that in the future. Yeah, I think with how you're going, your passion for what you do, the love of the results that you can deliver to your customers. I think once you keep that, you keep innovating, you keep looking for the opportunities in the middle of the chaos and problems. It is where you win.
Yeah, that's the part I enjoy right now is the feedback, and in the future having a company where employees are happy. The thing that's stopping me from getting there is the hard parts, and the hard part is, I think everyone can attest to this, is getting your name out there. And there's only so many ways you can do it. So the podcast being one of them, and making content, but I guess also the tiny experiments you have to do to see what works, right? So for example, I could go down the avenue of doing like SEO and getting people to go on the website. Great, I've tried it, it worked. And then I can try ads. I'm like, oh, those ads didn't work. And just trying those different experiments to see what puzzle pieces work together to get your name out there. But the hard part is not being discouraged when one doesn't work when you think so. So right now I'm in the process of trying different things. And I can be honest on like my strategy of going about it, right? Okay,
No,
okay.
for real.
I don't have to go into
For
details.
real.
Okay,
No,
okay,
you're
okay.
building your company when you can afford for your strategy to be copied by everybody else, then sure, tell us. But no, I think we get it. I think we get that you're in a phase right now where you feel like the value you're solving is really, really solid. But what I think is often a really great opportunity, yes, we as companies, we want to scale really fast. We want to do that because we want to get to where we have in our mind as a destination. But I think maybe I don't know any ins and outs of your business other than just chatting with you in conversations like this. But I think looking at how you can build a solid foundation for your business right now so that as you keep doing those micro tests to get your name out there, to build your audience, to build your customer, to continue building that pipeline and, helping sell for these dealerships and helping people get cars easier and nicer, is how do you build a foundation that where you can go beyond just you and a few employees to even more employees. So working out like those foundational things that when the right moment of scaling hits, it's already met by an infrastructure that can support it and not where you scale so fast that you break in the process. Yeah. So I think enjoy the chaos and the messy middle and the striving.
The madness.
Yeah.
The madness that happens.
Yeah. And keep the mini experiments going because it's in those mini experiments that you have and that you're doing. And I love that you call them experiments because it gives you the ability to fail at them and not put that pressure on yourself. It's just an experiment. We're just testing it. If it wins, amazing. We learn from it. We keep going. If it fails, we try something else and you just keep tweaking it. I think that's a phenomenal place to be because how long has Price Driven been around now?
A little bit of a trick question. I would probably say seriously focused on it, I would say about a year, but total life of the company, incorporated all that, I'd probably say about 3.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's still a baby.
You're
still a baby.
Toddler.
Oh my God, I just started crawling and I'm now walking and falling, and now I'm figuring out whenever I put my foot here, maybe I might be able to get the next foot, and I'm just learning to walk.
Yeah.
Hopefully run soon.
Listen, toddlers love to run, so I think you just gotta, put your shoes on, make sure your laces are tied.
I know it's Black History Month just passed by, but the Martin Luther King of you gotta crawl before you walk, before you run, and I'm looking forward to walking.
Yeah.
I'm looking, and those tiny experiments of holding onto the sofa and putting my foot down, and I think walking is gonna come pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for that for you. Yeah. So in your journey so far, what has Jordan learned about himself?
What I really learned about myself with business is that I had to teach myself delayed gratification, because when you try something and it doesn't work and you look at your bank account and you're like, I need this to work, and it doesn't, it crushes you. But if you take the tiny experiment of, okay, there's 5 things I could do, let me try A, B, C, D, E, and you have to wait and be patient to see which one's going to actually work, then the delayed gratification is, I don't have to have this to work right now. It's going to take a while, and you have to be patient because you don't know what's going to work. You can only connect the puzzle pieces. You can only connect the puzzle pieces looking back. It's kind of like driving. I can only see where I've been if I look back. I think that makes sense. Yeah, in the rearview mirror. And it's you just have to give yourself grace. So I'm giving myself grace to fail. And I learned that if I just enjoy what I'm doing today and I don't connect it to the revenue straight away, then I'm okay.
I really love the delayed gratification component. It is the absolute biggest thing that I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't talk about enough. Because when you have to put your life on hold and you watch your friends, your family starts questioning you and everything, and they're just like, well, how long is this going to take? You should just quit now. And to be able to hold on to the vision and delay that gratification for yourself, but also for the people around you. And they might not have the same vision for you, but they will have very similar positive outcomes that they want for you, even when it's not there. So I think anybody that has an entrepreneur in their lives probably is learning something about delayed gratification, either from that entrepreneur and what they want for them, or just simply watching them do it for themselves. That's a huge learning.
Yeah. I got into the point where the delayed gratification is now I can like reap the benefits of waiting for so long. And this is amazing, but I'm consistently having deals per month, every month. And before it was slow and it was hard and it was like, I felt like I was like climbing a hill. I get to the summit and then I realized, oh my God, there's another hill. There's another mountain. And it just felt never ending. But I got to a summit of consistency, and now I can, even though there's another massive mountain, at least I can look over the mountain and enjoy the view like, this was worth the work. This was really worth the work. And then you take a deep breath and you continue to the mountain, but you still enjoy the view while you have it. Yeah. Have your flowers and just smell them.
I love it. I love it. So as we wrap up the podcast, 3 questions we ask you, which is going to dive a little bit deeper into you. The first one is, what is the biggest thing you've learned so far?
I think the biggest thing, and it kind of summarizes the intro you had for me, was tiny experiments. I realized that speed is everything. Because if you just keep doing what you're doing and you're kind of hitting a wall, you need to just take a second and sharpen the saw. I believe it's from the book 7 Habits of Successful People. But there's a section called Sharpening the Saw, where essentially an axeman or a lumberjack would cut down and keep going and keep going. And that's number 1. They just keep hitting the tree. Number 2, lumberjack would cut down the tree, a few strikes, sharpen the saw. Cut down the tree, sharpen the saw, and go back and forth, and that's learning. So, and then eventually he cuts down, the lumberjack number 2, cuts down the tree quicker because he's now sharpening his tools and getting better instead of a dull axe that keeps swinging. So my biggest lesson is that if something's not working, fall back, sharpen the saw, learn, take information, not too much because you can fall the trap of learning too much, and then apply it. And then go back at it. And then you're going to knock over that tree and you're going to get there. But you just have to sharpen the saw a little bit.
Phenomenal. That's a huge, huge learning. What is one thing you were leaving behind in your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh, these are banger questions. I love them. What's one thing I'm leaving behind? The one thing I'm leaving behind, and this is big kudos to my partner, is working every day. It kind of falls back to sharpening the saw, but I was working every day, 7 days a week, 24/7. And I realized I didn't give myself a chance to actually enjoy the view of my success and my and everything. Now I realize I give myself one day. At first I didn't want to, I was reluctant, but I give myself one day, Sundays, to just relax, be with my friends, be with my partners, relax, and just get away from work and then come back into it. I believe work-life balance is important. It kind of goes out the window when you're building a business sometimes, you forget it, but you have to just take a break and just relax. And now I'm doing that. I'm actually, funny enough, ever since I've been doing that, the numbers have been going with it. So relaxing Sundays have been a big win for me, and I am putting out 7 days of work out the window. I'm leaving that behind.
100%. I co-sign it.
Co-sign.
Yeah, done. What's one thing you're taking into the future with you?
The thing I'm taking into the future for my business and myself is not just tiny experiments, but the things that work, doubling down on them. I really think that if you have something good going, you can just keep doing more of it, and then it would only add gasoline to the fire. Yeah. So, for example, I recently realized, a little bit of a sales tidbit, but when I go into dealerships and I talk to them, I lead with value first. So I actually hand them over a sales objections booklet from a car salesman that broke records. And I say, hey, give this to your salespeople. It actually might help you sell a few more cars. And then I follow up with them. And it's been positive versus me going in saying, I can help you sell more cars and I can help you do this. And it's all about me, me, swipe credit card, swipe credit card. Now it's like, here's some offer, here's an offer, here's a value. And now that I've learned that, I'm like, oh, I'm going to continue doing it. I'm going to leave with more value first. So when a tiny experiment works, double down on it.
Yeah. I like that answer, but now I want you to answer this personally. What is Jordan taken into the future to build the kind of company he wants to build?
I think that we're only as, I think that there's learning knowledge and then applying knowledge. And I feel like Jordan knows that if I want to be the best version of me, I have to continuously learn, but not only just learn and read, but take notes, apply it, review it, apply it, and then after a few repetitions, you can become the person you want to be. And the person I really want to be, I want to be an understanding leader, a thoughtful one, a charismatic one, a funny one, someone you can go to. And I feel like I'm there, but I know that there's always a little bit more room for improvement, and that's okay. So I want to be continuously learning and become the person I want to be.
Yeah. In my short experience with you in the studio today, you already have a lot of those characteristics. You are charismatic. You know, you do seem very caring, especially about your customers and the way you speak about them and all of that. So you have a lot of the fundamentals, but those, like you said, it just continuous learning and difficult and more nuanced situations will test those things about you. And as long as you keep learning and building on what you have, you absolutely will be.
Oh, Miss Harris, you're too sweet. Thank you. I appreciate that. That means the world to me.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today. You are certainly a buzzworthy entrepreneur building a very buzzworthy business. So I'm excited to see where Price Driven goes. And if you are looking for a car, I'm just going to plug it. Price Driven. And hopefully when I'm buying my new car in the future, maybe I'll give you a ring.
And just another shout out, if we do have a free service where we show you how much discounts available in a car, so you can negotiate for yourself. We only want to help you if you need it, but having the amount of discount available for free helps you have so much more leverage with negotiating a car. The service is for new cars. Used cars is a whole different beast, but yeah, if you're looking for a new car, then I'd be more than happy to help.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Jordan.
Thank you.